their backpacks in their mom's car. And so I texted her, like, are the kids' backpacks in your car? And she didn't answer. So I called her. And then by that time I called her, she was like, can you come and get them? So I had to drive to her job with the kids and then drive them to school. And by that point, it was like 9:15, where usually I'm home by 9:15. So
Hi, Stacy. I don't know if Stacy's there.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting for a minute.
No, that's okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
Have you ever been in Client Care Mastermind? I feel like we've, on Wednesdays,
So I was last week I went to the Tuesday meeting,
right?
but since then I've had a scheduling conflict. So you'll be seeing me on Wednesdays more often.
Yay. So excited. So I'm Karen. I'm from Passages, and I run 3 out of the 4 meetings a month here on Wednesdays. Barrett runs the other meeting. So we're happy to have you. Where are you guys located?
We are in suburban Philadelphia, so we're in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Do you have other intake coordinators that come on to the meetings at all, or no?
Yeah, we have somebody that I think the majority of the people were attending on Tuesday.
Oh, okay. All right. What group are you guys from?
CW Psychological Services.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Perfect. And Lindsay's also from Passages. She's our intake coordinator as well.
hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Lindsay.
So, and do you run the KPIs and metrics as well?
The person who's currently doing that is leaving. I'm guessing that they went over it yesterday in the meeting. But I will be entering. She showed me how to do it. I just haven't done it.
All right. Awesome. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. It's literally been raining in New York
Mm,
and cold. And the
love it.
first day of summer is like in the next 3 days, and we're still wearing winter clothes.
Yeah, I hate that. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of rain here lately as well. It's been pretty crummy.
The only thing I'm happy about is that I grew grass this year. Like I thatched like parts of my front and back lawn, and my
Oh,
grass is doing
nice.
amazing. So
Yeah. Yeah, I just bought a house this year and I've been like having to like cut my own grass and it's been annoying me because it's just growing so fast. I don't like it.
congratulations. I feel
Thank
like
you.
owning a house is just you start one job, and by the time you're done with it, there's like a new job, and it's like a
Yeah,
never-ending cycle.
it really is. Yeah. It's a lot of work,
Mm.
but I'm happy to have them. So pretty cool though.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I haven't done this in a while, but I wanted to do like a fun question. What was your most favorite childhood activity during the summer when school was out? And it could be super simple or whatever. Mine was running through the sprinklers.
Nice. Mine's probably just playing tennis in the summer. I always grew up like playing tennis, and that was like my favorite sport. So yeah, just playing tennis. Me and my friends would ride our bikes to the tennis courts and just play all day. So yeah, definitely that.
I love that. Lynn,
I
Stacy.
I used to always ride my bike with my friends to the ice cream place near our house. And we would do that like every day.
Stacy, what about you?
I love to swim. So we had neighbors that had a pool. So I just love to be in their pool all the time.
I love taking advantage of everybody else's pool so that I don't have to take care of it, but you get to reap the benefits of being in it.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, so welcome everybody. So I had a couple of things that, like a couple topics that I thought we could review. One of them was Barrett had posted in Masterminds about couples and hey Liam, about couples and unique challenges that we might experience aside from scheduling. So I thought that that would be a nice topic to talk about today, and how, as coordinators, the different types of questions or adversity that couples might give us, whether it be, filling out paperwork, or, how we bill, things like that. And if you feel couples are more adverse or more of an issue as opposed to booking maybe children or teens, individuals and couples. And second, I thought we could talk about the summer slowdown and the experience that everyone may have. I know that in different states, there's different cycles for the education. Like, I know some states have like the 3-month cycle, 3 off. For us in New York and Liam in New Jersey, this is the end of school for us in the next 2 weeks. So I know that there's also a change in outreach and how many people are calling. So just to kind of get feedback from all the different offices, and what your experiences are, and if there's anything you do above and beyond outside of your regular marketing to kind of supplement that slowdown. So I thought those were 2 topics that we could talk about today, along with KPIs. And one thing I wanted to ask you, um, so Stacy, we're doing a, Chris, did you get your percentage?
No, I have not, but let me message her and see if I can get that.
Okay. So Stacy, we're running a contest for the month of June. It's a conversion contest. So what we're all doing is whatever our base conversion is for the current month, we're adding 3% to it. And whichever office wins the conversion contest, they'll get a gift card or something. So do you know what your base conversion is for the month of June?
I don't have that information with me right now.
Okay.
I'm relatively new to the practice. I'm still
Okay.
getting to learn the flow of everything. I'm the
Okay.
office manager here, so
Okay.
I'm starting to look at the data and figure out
All right.
how we can improve. But I'll
Okay.
certainly take a look at that and
Yeah. And
eager to hear
then
about everyone else and what they do.
perfect. Yeah. And then once you get it, just add 3 to it. And I'm just, writing it in, and we're just keeping track of everybody's conversion. And like I said, it's kind of just like a fun competition to motivate us all to reach that goal, and so on and so forth. So,
Great.
and also something that I thought would be cool for us to do. I know Barrett's going to be doing a workshop next week, but what do you guys think about having a spotlight speaker, where it's somebody that can contribute from one of our practices that we feel uh, have a process that maybe we want to learn more about, that we think works well, and that they can kind of give us a soup to nuts, how they do it A to Z, like 15 minutes out of one of our groups. And they could be a presenter and kind of show us everything that they do. What do you guys think about that? Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
yeah, that'd be
So
cool.
I'll probably be reaching out to you guys in the next couple weeks. I might be like, hey, Liam, like, we love how you talked about blah, blah, blah. Like, can you screen share with us and show us how you do X, Y, and Z, or stuff like that? So all you guys would be on board. All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, Chris, do you want to start off with your KPIs?
Yeah. Let me. Hey, I'm in a meeting. You're good. Oh, this may be for you though. Sorry. Let's see. Should I screen share as well?
If you want to.
Okay, I'll just go ahead and just go over it. So right now for the from the 8th to the 15th, we had 23 new opportunities, 0 from the wait list, and right now our current number of open opportunities is 20. And then for our like cumulative monthly totals through the 15th, I've booked 31 intakes, and 20 of those have been completed. So that means we converted 20 to clients. And then I've marked 3 lost, and I've added 1 to the wait list. And I have booked none from the wait list. Uh, but yeah, those are pretty much my numbers so far for the month.
Do you feel like you're all caught up with, you had mentioned like you were feeling backed up with the program, the conference
Mm.
that you guys had hosted? Do you feel like you've kind of been able to catch up?
I do, yeah. I do feel like I've gotten caught up. But still, yeah, it's just like with like referrals are a little bit short right now, like you were saying, like with the summer. 'Cause, our like in Kentucky, they've been out for the summer for at least a couple weeks now. So we definitely noticed like a change in the amount of calls we're getting. So yeah, definitely like leads and referrals have been slowing down a bit. And so yeah, and we have like two new therapists that we have been trying to get booked up with clients. So it's been kind of hectic getting figuring that out and getting you know referrals in and getting people scheduled for those. But yeah, I think I'm definitely getting back on track just from the being behind in the conference last month. But yeah, I think things are picking up a bit just with like scheduling and not being so behind lately.
Does your practice do anything above and beyond knowing that once the kids are out of school or graduations or however, do you guys do above and beyond different types of marketing or your outreach being a bit different or, just to kind of supplement the slowdown?
Um, so I think we're just trying to like push marketing more right now, since those leads have been slowing down. And like we did open up a new office in Richmond, Kentucky, which is like 40 minutes away from where I am. And so we've been marketing heavy there, and have been having a lot of like yeah, just a lot of marketing out there. I'm not so much involved with it, but I know Kelsey, like our clinical lead, has been working with Hannah, the marketing person here, trying to like figure out, you know, different ways. So I know they've been doing like a lot of different like kind of like gift like baskets and with like treats and goodies and stuff and taking them to referral sources. But I think we're definitely trying to like think outside the box. Any way we can to pull in referrals.
Do you does any other office have any type of different marketing that they do to share with Chris just for some marketing ideas? Do you think door to door makes a difference now because everything's so electronic with email marketing and newsletters? Do you think that having somebody going door to door, like with a basket, with,
Mhm.
like pens and, marketing
Yeah,
tools and things like that, that stands out in potential referrals minds and they're like, oh wait, like remember that office, they came in, as opposed to receiving business cards in the mail?
yeah, I think it does. I think especially instead of like just dropping by, once, and you never see the person again. I think you gotta like kind of continually like stop by and like kind of try to build a relationship, specifically like making sure like you're asking to speak with like the person who handles the referrals for the different clinics and practices you're going to, because a lot of times like the people at the front desk that you go to, a lot of times they don't deal with the referrals. So I think definitely like calling ahead of time and like trying to figure out if they have a person who's in charge of that, and then at least like trying to like set up a time to like come through and drop off a bag and some goodies and just talking with them and telling them what we offer. I think yeah, building that relationship can be really really helpful. Um, and yeah, I mean, I've definitely have seen some like an increase in leads because we've been doing marketing in Richmond a lot lately. So I've definitely seen like a, increase in leads from there. Um, so I think it does help, but I mean, it definitely can be like hit or miss. Sometimes, you can try to build that relationship and, you may not ever get anything from them, but yeah,
I feel like it's worth it if you get one person, even though you
right.
might go there 4 times, that's still one person who maybe maybe that office won't refer, but if that one person had a good experience, they might tell their friends or their family,
Hmm.
and then it kind of builds
Right.
from there.
Yeah, yeah. I know this one place. It's in Nancy, Kentucky, which is like 30 minutes away. And they've sent us a whole bunch and they love our pens for some reason. I don't know why. Like, so we always like stop by and give them a bunch of pens. And for some reason they really like that. And yeah, that was kind of like a starter of like a good kind of referral relationship.
Right. And it's like an inside joke too, like the nurturing part. Like, we know you love our
Right.
pen, so we're back.
Right. Yeah,
One of
exactly. Yeah.
those.
So definitely works once you
Uh,
find something like that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Stacy, do you want to share with us just joining the practice, joining CW? I know and you're coming in as the practice manager?
I am.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's a big overtaking of all things.
Yes, there's a lot
I know.
of stuff to focus on.
I know. And I feel
Certainly,
like too, coming in as a manager, it's figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and then kind of trying to untie the things that don't work and realign them and so on and
it,
so forth.
it's interesting you say that. The first week was like a whirlwind, almost like a blur, trying to um, do orientation and start to manage at the same time. And
Mm,
then the second week was a lot of observation. This week, I'm starting to actually understand better and to be able to conceptualize which procedures are working, promote more communication, and whatnot. We, I think, are doing pretty well with um, referrals coming in from the various sources um, that we're using and trying to make a push to make sure that those people are moving through, right? We want to make sure that all our verifications are happening quickly and whatnot. We are actually marketing for a study um, that some of our clinicians are participating in. And I don't know how effective the marketing itself has been, contacting schools and other businesses by phone, by email, by fax. Um, I came into this, so like this is one of the things I'm observing with regard to that, and training the front desk to recognize opportunities for referrals that are coming in to move into that program. So still trying to figure all that out and make some suggestions about alternative ways to reach out to places to get um, good candidates for the study and whatnot. I haven't quite taken over the marketing yet, so I'm receiving that from someone else and promoting the front desk's participation into it. But I love hearing about what other people are doing. I do think not just for our practices, but I think there's a lot to be said for face-to-face contact, creating relationships, even on the phone, not being so rote, being much more personable and being able to connect in that sense. I think it goes a long way. I would just as soon throw away a flyer in a second, but would engage with a person with, little or no, with more verve, if you will. I need to excuse myself for just a second.
While we're waiting for Stacy. So I'll talk about our KPIs really quick. So we definitely have experienced the summer slump for sure. It's been super slow last week and this week. And Lindsay could add in. Lindsay was out 2 weeks ago on vacation and it was steady. It wasn't overwhelmingly busy, but it was steady. And then I feel like once she came back, like the last week and this week, we're definitely experiencing a lot of slowness. Certainly not as many inquiries at all. What's nice is because it was busier the week or two before that, people that were in the pipeline, Lindsay's been able to book. So even though we've had maybe half the amount of inquiries last week than we normally have, she was still able to book at 5 people, which then our conversion was still maintained last week. So I'm not quite sure what our conversion is going to look like for this week, just because our inquiries have been low. So I'll share our KPIs and then talk about our marketing approaches and things like that and what we're doing. So we actually had only 6 opportunities last week, which is like a third of what we normally have. Lindsay was able, she booked 10 people, so our conversion was still high. We had 5 people that were lost, and we didn't have anybody from the wait list. So all of those last people from the week before was everybody that she had booked. So what we're doing is for marketing, we send out a newsletter each week. We also highlight some of our clinicians that we need to book. So even though our inquiries have been low, we're still at 90% capacity. So we have openings, but it's not, we still have room to book. So if we had more inquiries, it would be okay. I definitely think that what Chris was saying and even what Stacy was saying is, the face to face. I think I had gone out a couple times and wasn't too successful, but I'm thinking that maybe the resources, like what Chris suggested, like, calling ahead and making the contact, like who's the point of contact, who should we ask for in the office first, rather than speaking with the person at the front desk, that might not be the intake coordinator, or that might not be like the main point of contact to speak to in regards to who then resources out for the providers. So I'm thinking that maybe that's something that we might want to do for both our North and South Shore offices. A little, dropping off bags. We have little swag bags of like, pens and sticky pads and things of that nature. So maybe that's something that we can look into, especially in the coming weeks as, graduations are happening this week and next week. So families are super busy with just, end of year things and stuff like that. So Linz, would you want to just contribute a few things?
I think that's a good idea. I know you kind of take more like part in that than I do. So if there's anything that I can do to help you with that, let me know. I think like because it hasn't been as busy, I have more time to like check in more with people, whereas sometimes there are times where like people can be sitting for a while before I have the chance to reach out to them again because things keep coming in and in and in. So I guess that's like an upside. I have had time to go through the wait list. I thought that I did book someone from the wait list last week, but I don't know if that was maybe this week.
I could check.
But in terms of marketing, I don't know exactly because I think that's mostly like you and Michelle. But if there's anything I can ever do to help with it, I mean, I'm always down.
Do you think there's any like other ideas, that maybe we're not thinking of that would be helpful aside from like email marketing, newsletters,
Mhm.
face to face? Oh, what we are doing, actually, I forgot to share. We're doing a wellness fair at our Trauma One hospital in the fall. I registered our business for that. So they
Mm.
do an employee wellness fair, and a lot of the local hospitals do it. So I don't know if your marketing coordinators and all of your offices want to look into it, but they host a wellness fair for the employees, and it's free. And there's like 200 vendors, and all the employees come through and you provide information. And I also am going to be registering us for a fair. Our towns do fairs, like street fairs. And one of our street fairs that's really popular, we're going to be getting a table in the fall. and doing that as well. So that's, just a little bit a different type of marketing that we just recently got into last year. We actually also, each police department has a mental health unit that provides social work and psychological support for their first responders. And they hold volunteer events. And in the spring, they had a tennis/pickleball event. And we actually were able to go and provide information as a mental health subsidiary support for all the police officers. So we were able to hand out our cards and things like that. So it's called like the wellness unit. So it's just also something, another avenue for marketing for the offices to look into and figure out. Because even though the police has like the EAP and they can also refer out to outside businesses. So that's another um, avenue too. So those are three other things that we're doing as well to get our name out there and just, and what's nice about the fairs is it's in person. We're there, we're talking to everybody, and we take their emails down to go onto our emailing list and so on and so forth. So that's just another idea that we do. So
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say, we had a meeting earlier today. Like all of our admin have a meeting today at 10, and they were talking about marketing, and one of like our case managers, she did some marketing in Richmond, and she went to this one place. It's not like it's like a more like a place to provide resources for people. So like they help people like sign up for like I guess like insurance and like therapy and things like that. And they have like a lot. I think they said they had like over like 100 people come in last week. And they said like we're always welcome to like go in there and like set up a table or a little booth and just pass out some information. So yeah, I think that's something that we'll be doing. Because that was in Richmond as well. So I think that'll be really helpful for us. But yeah, we definitely have done a lot of marketing where we go to different local events and set up a table and pass out, pens and cards and have all our flyers and stuff like that. And we even have like that QR code. I think we got that idea from you guys that has like the link to like request an appointment, like in a big like flyer. So yeah, I think yeah, setting up booths and tables at local events. And I never thought about like the street fairs because we have a lot of those here in Somerset. So that's actually a really good idea. So I'm definitely gonna tell Hannah about that.
yeah, and because it's a street fair, and because I mean, I'm not quite sure how it is in Kentucky, but it's actually the cost for the table is less because you're not selling anything. So you're
Oh,
just there for information purposes. Whereas if
nice.
there's a vendor that's going to be making money, they charge those vendor like that cost per
Right.
table is more. So it's
Yeah.
like the street fair it's 125 for the table and it's from 10 to 5. It's like
Dang.
so
Yeah.
cheap. Yeah.
Right.
Where like
Yeah.
the people that are selling stuff is 375.
Dang. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's
That's
worth
awesome.
it. So it's just knowing, like, because I guess they do the registration in advance. So like we registered now for this
Mm,
both they're in October, the first weekend in October. So if you know when the fairs
right.
typically are, then reach out to like the Chamber of Commerce
Yeah.
and they'll be the ones that do the applications.
Sweet.
Stacy, you want to continue?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
Um, no, I was just kind of finishing up my thought. So I feel like I can learn a lot by hearing what other people are doing. Um, and um, again, continuing to observe how things are being handled here, and the way that we're handling the referrals, moving them through the process, and then working with, um, you know, our our director to ensure that, that we're doing everything we can.
Are you able, if you see a process that you think is not as efficient or could be different, are you able to change that around or, as long,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yep. That's a part of the reason I was brought on, because I've done that in a lot of other places, different types of businesses and whatnot. But uh, yeah, processes. And the other part about it is meeting people where they are, because everybody has a different approach, a different way of processing information, comfort levels, different needs of support, to encourage them and help them grow. So that's the other observations that I have, so that the processes I put in place allow the flexibility to account for other things that might come up. I also do a lot of modeling. So how to talk to a client in a particular situation, or whether it be um, issues with the clinician they want, or issues with billing, or anything like that. I find that being able to model the interactions is also a helpful thing, because um, everybody right now seems to be coming from a little bit of a different perspective. And although there's a handbook, it needs to be updated, and maybe just kind of look outside the box and think of uh, alternative ways to approach. So that's all part of my process as I'm doing it. Which now I feel like um, in my third week, I'm able to take all the notes that I've taken in the last 2 weeks and try to put stuff together for that.
right.
And to
Thank you.
be here to hear people, that's the other part of it, right? To hear what works and what doesn't work. Or one of the things I started to ask people as I met them is what they like about being here and what they think might be able to be different to make it a better experience. So trying to piggyback on those things, knowing that Rome wasn't built in a day, trying to set reasonable expectations for myself, um, to be able to reach certain benchmarks. I kept on day two, I kept having to say to myself, it's only day two. It's only day two. So um, that's where I am with regard to that.
Yeah, I think what's great about this group is we all appreciate how each office and business has a process and how they do it, and we share takeaways from each other and bring them back to our leadership, and if it works, implement them, like how Chris had said, like we had talked about like QR codes for marketing one day, and or meeting new hires for therapists, for the intake coordinators, so then they have a better understanding personality wise, not just clinical, of who they're pairing with potential clients, because just because clinically they might meet their needs doesn't necessarily mean personality wise they're going to meet their needs. We talk a lot about when to send the paperwork out for intake, and do we send it out before we book them or after we book them? How much paperwork is too much paperwork,
Yeah.
and questions, the insurance verification process. These are all things that like we've talked about and that we'll continue to talk about it because things always come up, cancellation fees and who charges the fees. Is it the clinician? Is it the billing manager? Is it the intake coordinator? Like, and we have all different, we have one office, the intake coordinator will bill the no-show intake, but then another office, the clinicians bill, and then another office, the financial manager bills. So, we kind of just share all over and see what works for everybody. So, and hopefully, like with the workshops that Barrett's going to be doing, and also the spotlights that I'm going to start doing, that will help share, processes that other offices find valuable, and that you can take bits and pieces and grow from there.
Well, I hope, and then I hope eventually that I'll be one of those people who can provide, you
Absolutely.
know, our own take on it. But for
I
now,
know.
just appreciative of everyone's willingness to share.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what's great about this group. We always talk about what we do and what's been working and what's not working. And I think we've all had some really great takeaways from each other and have gone back and implemented them. So it's, welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Do you have like any metrics or like kind of like your thing, like anything just that you noticed from your observations in regards to like your intakes and things like that the past 2 weeks, that are like metric KPI related and things like that that you want to share?
I mean, I don't have numbers that I want to talk about, but one of the things I've noticed that I want to have the practice work on is I'd rather there be fewer calls and emails, right? So um, the way the workflow isn't completely set and people aren't always in tune to what the next thing to say should be. So when things get entered into our system and, um, you know, and it's being looked over, somebody might reply back with another question. Well, then you have to call the client back and ask another question. And I feel like that just to be more efficient to get everything done in as few number of phone calls or emails as possible will be helpful. The other thing is something as simple as um, the task is to get the person's schedule. Say it was a transfer client clinician left, it's a transfer client. Um, the phone call should be to schedule the appointment, for which I'm sure everyone on this meeting will agree. But so the communication should not be, well, this is the clinician we recommend. Do you want to go on the website, check them out, and then call back to schedule? Like that happened. And I was like, okay, well, let's think about how we might approach that differently. Let's get it in, let's get it on the schedule and and go from there. So I would like to see more efficiency with communication and accomplishment during those phone calls. That was an initial observation.
It sounds like also to more confidence with based on your support needs, we feel that you would be a great fit for X and X has availability on this and this day. And we think that it would be a great match for you and we'd like to book you with this person. How does that sound?
Right. Absolutely all those things. And that's what I was talking about with modeling the wording. Right, where I'm even going to write stuff out. I mean, one of the things I'm actually considering doing, and we're going to be hiring some new people hopefully soon, because we're finding ourselves short-staffed. And forgive me, everybody, but I'm old school. I like to have references next to me, in front of me. I do have a binder. I don't like tons of paper, but I like to be able to put my hands on something real quick. And something as simple as laminating and putting on a ring reference material that someone can grab when they're on the phone and like flip to the page that says someone calls to cancel an appointment, here are the steps to do. So that not everybody is having to remember it all. There's so much that goes on here and so many different programs that we use that we have to update, make notes in, do this, that, and the other thing. It's easy to forget. We go through post-its and incredibly because people are making post-its for themselves and putting them everywhere, which is great because they don't forget things, but I want to try to make things easier, more at your fingertips, rather than to have to open another window on your computer to see what it is you're supposed to do for X, right? I want to have these tools. I'm huge about tools. Working with people who process differently and whatnot. And for myself, I find tools to be very important. So I want them to be in the office for anyone who should need them. And I'm hoping, I mean, once you use the tools enough, then you find that you don't need them so much anymore. Or maybe you rely on them. So you make sure you want to have them there. But we have hours 7 days a week. And so there's a lot of people that cover our front desk in that time. And so I want to make sure that everyone has what they need appropriately. And it'll be helpful to me when I'm doing the coverage because it's not something that I'll be doing constantly every day. So I'm going to want those tools near me and then talk to everyone else about what they feel are tools and how I can implement what works for anyone else. Um, because if you're cycling around 5 or 6 or 7 people to cover all the hours, we all kind of need to be on the same page about what the expectations are and how we are expected from the powers that be to respond to certain things. And I'm finding that wording Not that wording can't be personalized so that you're doing it in your own style, but we need to be saying the same things. And we need to be comfortable being able to answer why we don't take a particular type of insurance, for example. We can't say bluntly why we don't do that, but we should be consistent in what it is that we're saying, right? So, these are all things that I'm figuring out as we're going on. Want to instill that confidence in any new people that come in, that they understand what they're facing, what the expectation is, and where they find the resources to be able to do their job well,
That makes
effectively.
sense. I think
Um,
we had talked about like handoff. And I think one person from the office was in group a couple weeks ago, and I had asked like, how do you do handoff? How do you, do you have a process like where if you're in the middle of doing something and now your shift is over, how does the next person who's picking up know where you left off and know, what's what, because when there's two people, it's fine. But when there's seven, that's, and then some people are doing double duty and, so on and so forth. So,
right. And when you have 7 people in one email account trying to answer all the questions, making sure that like, right now there isn't a system that I understand how you know if something's complete other than it's not, then it's, marked as red. That's too ambiguous for me.
right.
So, you know, trying to think in terms of that too. Because we all have our personal work emails, but as well as the main email.
Mm.
So, so there's a lot to figure out, and this will be a really good opportunity to start to, as we're bringing new people on, it's almost going to be like a reinvention,
Mhm.
if you will, to be able to establish a baseline and then be able to work off of that to perfect it. And it's
I,
nerve-wracking as well, but it's an opportunity to do it.
I'm in this HR roundtable, like countrywide program. And one of the facilitators said to me, because I had to create an addendum for the handbook because there was an issue. And she said, she's like, the only reason there are addendums is because of the issues that come up that we realize we need an addendum. So like for every foundation or every process that is restarted or fixed or corrected, it's because something came up that wasn't working and now you have to recreate it. So
Right.
we have, and I'm not sure about Liam or Chris, but here at Passages, Lindsay has, when she started, we did like a process, like if you're asked this question, how to respond. If you're asked this question, how to respond. We can share it with you if you want it, just to,
Sure.
like some of
Um,
it's going to be different, just for insurance reasons, but like, or what to say, what not to say, how to say it. I think we shared it in Mastermind, but she can email it to you if you want it.
that would be great. Send it all to me because I want as much information as possible to be able to
I
find
also
out
have
what works
my
best for
own
us.
that I've like made as time has gone on. I keep them on my desktop, like on sticky notes, and I'll just copy and paste them and
Mm-hmm.
tweak the message.
That's great.
Yeah. So plug your email into the comments on the bottom and we can email you whatever, what we have.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me find the chat.
Liam, how have you guys been doing?
Yeah, we're pretty good. Mentioning the sort of summer slowdown, we're experiencing a little bit, especially, the few previous weeks. Somehow last week we actually had like a really good week. I was looking through our numbers and I was surprised to see that we had like tripled the numbers from the previous week. Not sure what we did differently last week, to be honest. Maybe we upped the advertising a little bit, and I wasn't aware. But so it was a good week. But otherwise, throughout the last month or so, it has been the trend that things are kind of slowing down. So I definitely feel that as well. Um, you were talking about like marketing and stuff, and you really piqued my interest talking about like the employee wellness programs or fairs or things like that. That's something that we've never taken advantage of, as far as I know. We're very big on like online advertising. I think that's our sort of main thing. Our practice owner is pretty savvy with that kind of stuff. He's always kind of bragging about how our a website or URL or whatever is very easily searchable. It comes up very quickly on Google. If someone wants searching up therapy in the area, for some reason we're like the first one to come up. So that's a nice strategy, I guess, if it's possible. But we don't do a lot of in-person advertising like that, I guess, and that's something I'd definitely be interested in looking more into. You talked about like police and hospitals and things like that, and we have a lot of like police clients and teacher clients, mostly because we take like state insurance. It's one of the very few insurances that we accept that will pay like a decent amount. So if we can get more involved in those kind of systems and places and programs, it'd be really a good way to advertise for sure.
The schools, if you find out who like the teachers association is, like who their union rep is, or then you can actually, if you send your information, you can be a referral source for the teachers that go to the rep to say, like, I'm looking for therapists in New Jersey that take our teachers insurance. And then you can be one of the referral sources that they give all those teachers.
Okay, yeah, definitely got to look into that. I like that. If we haven't already, maybe our practice center did it before I started, but I haven't heard anything about that. So,
And same with like the police. They have like the EAP, and you can link up with them and, be one of their referral sources.
okay, yeah, that's definitely awesome. Especially since like I feel like teachers and police, we get a lot of calls from them, but we also get a ton of referrals from like teachers just talk to teachers and they're like, gossiping and like, oh, we go to this therapist's office, same with police. And so we get all sorts of calls like, oh, my teacher friend or police officer friend or whatever offered this. So that's definitely a good way to get a lot more referrals for sure. So I like that. Um, but yeah, I guess as far as marketing, that's our main thing. We are kind of trying to do a little bit more in-person marketing lately. We have one of our therapists starting a postpartum group, for new
Very
mothers.
cool.
And we've had some trouble getting people into it. I guess, we don't have a lot of new mothers as current clients, or maybe they're not referring people. So we're trying to get the word out a little bit. We're like calling local businesses or doctors' offices or anywhere we could put up like flyers or things like that. You've talked about having the QR code, and that's something we've done as well, which is a very good idea. Um, and so we're trying to get in the habit of that. It's also kind of new to us, though. Like I said, we're not very big on like this in-person advertising. So we're just kind of calling around right now, trying to see if people will let us put flyers up. We're not sure what else we can really do. But if anyone else has like suggestions as far as that goes, I'm definitely interested.
Are you charging for your group?
Yeah, we're taking insurance and we're charging.
I would, for us, because we're a women's based mental health support and we specialize in perinatal and postpartum, I would reach out to your local hospital, the maternity department,
Yeah.
and fax over on postpartum, not the delivery side, on the postpartum side, and fax over your flyers, or find out who the chief nursing officer is and get them the information, because they're the ones that will then, because they're the ones that discharge the patients. And also all the obstetrician offices in your area, make sure they get all the information, because they're the ones that see the postpartum patients at 6 weeks and 8 weeks. So if they're struggling, then those are going to be the people that refer for your group.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds kind of obvious. I'm not sure how we didn't really think of it. I think we have sent out to like obstetricians and doctors' offices and things like that, but like the hospital, obviously, like yeah. So I think that'll be our next call for sure. That's a great suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have some KPIs for us?
Yeah. So I was saying, our first week this month was kind of slow. Our numbers were quite low overall. We had like 5 intakes booked and no converted clients the first week. But now this week in week 2, we're up to 45 opportunities. We booked 20 intakes, 11 intakes complete, only 2 converted to clients, but I think by next week that'll be more. And even this week or last week, we were adding clients from the wait list, which is a new thing for us. We're trying to check more on that. I've been talking about that. So I'm glad to kind of see it in action. So yeah, I guess it was just a good week overall. I hadn't exactly figured out why. Like I said, I want to find out if we were just like upping the advertising or if something happened to, make the numbers go up so much. But I think our conversion rates should certainly be up as well, which is good, I guess, in regard to this month.
And you guys end school the same way as we do, right? Like school's ending like
Yep.
now. Yeah, right. That's
Yeah,
what
we
I
got a
thought.
lot of like people that work in schools that come here, so we hear all about that.
Is this your first group that you guys are running?
Yeah, our practice has tried to run groups on and off for a while. They're kind of rare, and as time has gone on, we find it very hard to get enough members for any kind of group. We run all sorts. We've had, teenage groups, groups for sexual assaults, trauma, women, postpartum now. And it seems like no matter what, we get a couple people, but I don't know, it's been hard. People just don't want to do groups, or they're just looking for a virtual group. We want ours to be in person, since I think just in principle, we don't really feel like virtual groups are nearly as beneficial. Better than nothing, obviously, but I guess that's our practice owner's philosophy. So I guess, yeah, we'd certainly be interested in more strategies in general for how people get groups to fill up, unless that's something other people are dealing with too, where they notice groups are harder and harder to get clients for. But as far as, yeah, individual therapy, or couples counseling, we have no problem getting clients. It's just every once a month we'll get a call. You hosting a group, we'll put you onto our wait list, but it's not enough to really justify starting a new one and calling these people on the wait list from months and months in the past. So I don't know.
We've tried groups are, what is that? Our Achilles heel. Is that the saying? Yeah. We had probably about 2 or 3 years ago, we had a really great postpartum moms group that lasted several months. It was a virtual group and it worked out well. It was a fee for service, but like if you sign up for 6, you discounted $20, but it's $20 a group we charge for 1 hour. We cap it at 6 or 8. And that was a great group. It really went well. The clients really meshed, or the participants rather. But then ever since then, we don't do well with groups. We have people that ask about groups and we put them in our wait list for groups. When we then decide to do a group, because we have enough people, we reach out and they're just not interested anymore, or it's like the commitment. So probably about 2 months ago, we had a clinician who is very involved in volunteerism, the Postpartum Resource Center in New York, so on and so forth. She's partly retired. And she volunteered to run a free group. And it's a bereavement group for perinatal and post-delivery moms and dads or caregivers, whoever, whatever. And it has been, I don't know if it's because it's perinatal bereavement and there's really zero support groups. That there used to be a significant amount of support groups in our Trauma 1 hospital and our Trauma 2 hospitals. And we found out we do fundraising, we do quarterly fundraising, and through Little Angels, who's like an ancillary non-for-profit for bereavement, for infant loss, had said like there's no support groups. So when I had reached out and found out that none of the hospitals were doing them, we decided to start one, and it's been extremely successful. It's a free group. And it's been running for about 3 months now. We cap it at about 10 people, but we do it in 6-week increments, and then we break for like 2 weeks. And then if they want to come back, they're welcome to. If anyone new wants to come back, so on and so forth. And it's been great. I don't know if it's the subject matter. I don't know if it's that it's free. I don't know if that it's both. It's in person. It's at our office that is more higher, like the inquiry for sessions is higher in our North Shore office, which is like our foundation office. I don't know if it's all of those or none of those, but it's been very successful. So, we're going to continue to do that and maybe start another paid postpartum support group, not bereavement, in September. And that we'll charge for, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that's really interesting, especially just with how that one group is really working. Do you happen to know like where a lot of the referrals come from that group? If it's from like the hospital or
So we marketed through the non-for-profit. I sent them information. I did all OBGYNs in Nassau and Suffolk County. I marketed to the maternity departments, the postpartum departments at the hospitals. Um, and we've been getting probably about 4 of the clients, their referral came from the actual hospital after they delivered the baby and the baby passed away. And also the nursery, because sometimes the infant is born and then dies like 5 days later. So it's like the NICU, the nursery, and the social workers at the hospital. So our trauma one, we got a social worker contact email, and we send that social worker all our email flyers about support groups, because then they tell the other 30 social workers that work in the hospital.
Yeah, okay,
So
that's
those are like a good point of contact, because the social workers, when there's trauma and, the infant loss and stuff like that, they want to set the family up on discharge.
yeah.
So, but even for mom, but for for bereavement for sure, but for postpartum, the nursery and postpartum I would definitely find contacts in those areas.
Yeah, no, we have a ton of social workers that work here and they've got connections. I'm sure we got to ask around and see if someone knows someone in the hospital like that. That's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're almost done. Does anyone have anything they want to talk about? I'll post recaps and takeaways. And I already have, oh, Barrett's going to be doing the workshop next week. She posted in Mastermind the outline of what everyone's going to be talking about. I won't be here because my daughter is graduating from elementary school and that's her graduation, but then I'll see you all the following week. So I hope everybody has a great week. Thank you so much. Stacy, welcome to the group. So excited to have you.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll see everyone soon, okay? All right, bye.